The voicemail came at 6:47 a.m., a time when the world was still gray and the coffee in my mug hadn't yet lost its steam. My mother's voice sliced through the quiet of my Seattle kitchen, sharp and rehearsed, like a blade polished for the occasion. "Emma, we've made a decision," she said. No preamble, no warmth. "We're restructuring Harper Industrial. Effective immediately. You're no longer part of the business. You'll hear from our attorney." Silence followed, heavy as a stone. Not a thank you. Not even my name spoken with the tenderness a daughter might expect. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the faint drip of the faucet, louder now, as if the house itself were holding its breath. I played it again. Slower. Then once more, searching for something softer hidden in the pauses. There was nothing. "My name is Emma Harper. I'm 38, and for 17 years, I've been the backbone of Harper Industrial, the company my grandfather founded, the one that bears our name. 17 years of tax seasons, late nights, and Decembers without a single full vacation. I was the one who kept the gears turning when the world tried to grind them to dust. And now, with a single voicemail, I was out. I sat at the kitchen table, the coffee gone cold, the mug's weight grounding me as the world tilted. My mother, Catherine Harper, and my father, William, built this empire from the ashes of my grandfather's dream. But it was my hands, my hours, my sacrifices, that kept it alive. I heard my father's exhale in the voicemail, faint but unmistakable, after the word attorney, a soft punctuation to their verdict. He didn't speak, but he was there, complicit, in the silence. I could have called back, demanded answers, begged for the truth. I didn't. Instead, I opened my laptop. My fingers moved with a calm I didn't feel, pulling up an email thread from 2 years ago, from a finance conference in Phoenix that had been as dull as the desert heat. A lawyer named Rachel Coleman had handed me her card, her firm specializing in corporate transitions. I typed 5 words. "It's time. Let's talk options." I hit send. The air shifted, not with a storm, but with the quiet click of a door locking shut. Harper Industrial began in 1967 in a drafty warehouse on the edge of Tacoma. My grandfather, Thomas Harper, started it with a single welding machine, a handshake, and a stubborn belief that American steel could outlast any storm. He died the year I graduated college, leaving the company to my parents, 50% to my father, William, 30% to my mother, Catherine, and 20% held in trust for my older brother, Lucas, who was supposed to carry the legacy. Lucas had other plans. He chased startups in Silicon Valley, then Austin, calling our family's metal fabrication business too dusty for his vision. He failed upward, as he always did, returning to Tacoma 3 years ago. Not to the factory floor, but to a corner office with strategic vision lead on the door. I stayed. I started in procurement at 21, my linen too, my shoes too clean, my suit too stiff. The line workers teased me, said I looked like I'd wandered into the wrong building, headed for a bank interview. I laughed, eager and naive, stubborn enough to learn. I moved to payroll, took night classes in supply chain, logistics, and became the one they called when the books didn't balance or the bank needed new loan terms by dawn. No one said thank you, but they stopped questioning my place. My mother used to call me the numbers girl, her tone fond but patronizing, as if I were still balancing her checkbook at 12. "Emma keeps us grounded," she'd say, laughing. Don't know what we'd do without her. I believed it. I wore those words like a shield, carried them through the years. I carried them when I took a second mortgage on my house to cover payroll after 2 clients defaulted. I never told my parents. I funneled the money through a shell LLC, called it stabilization liquidity in the reports. When we recovered, my father bragged to a board member about Lucas's smart call on an invoice strategy. Lucas hadn't touched QuickBooks in months. I swallowed it, like always. It didn't matter who got the credit, I told myself, as long as the company survived. I was the invisible gear, the one that only mattered when it broke. But I stayed, believing blood meant belonging, believing they'd see me again. It wasn't a single cut that removed me. It was 1,000 small ones, each too subtle to call a wound. First, my access to high-level planning meetings dwindled. My mother said I was overloaded, told me to focus on what you're good at. Then the org chart changed. My name wasn't on it. I asked. Catherine smiled, touched my arm. Emma, you know we value you. It's just a visual. Don't overthink it. That was 2 years ago. A year later, my headshot vanished from the company website. The About page listed William as founder, Catherine as president, Lucas as executive vision lead. No CFO, no mention of finance. I took a screenshot, not for proof, but because I couldn't believe it. I'd become a ghost in my own legacy. Still, I stayed, hoping the years I'd spent keeping us afloat would mean something. They didn't. It was a slow subtraction. One folder I couldn't access. One shared drive permission revoked. One group thread I stopped seeing. The vendor schedule I'd built from scratch 6 years ago. Access denied. I emailed Lucas. He brushed it off. We've consolidated finance ops. Nothing urgent. I asked to be looped in. I never was. My badge stopped working for the second-floor conference room. Catherine said she'd check on it. She didn't. The annual shareholder packet arrived late, printed, not emailed. My copy was missing key schedules. The charts were softer, the language forward-facing, laced with Lucas's tone. The signature block read, Catherine, William, Lucas. 3 names, not 4. I found the restructuring notice in a PDF sent to legal. I wasn't supposed to see it. At the bottom, next to initiated by, was my mother's name. Catherine Harper, President. The same woman who'd held me when I cried over a missed target, who'd said, Emma, we couldn't do this without you. She'd signed the document that said I was no longer needed. I didn't respond. I didn't confront her. They hadn't forgotten me. They'd erased me. There's a difference. For days I waited, half expecting a follow-up, a call, an apology, a misunderstanding they'd fix. Nothing came. The silence wasn't loud. It was a door clicking shut, the air changing. I opened the Gmail thread from Phoenix. Rachel Coleman, the lawyer, had replied within the hour. Understood. I'll loop. In our team. Quiet diligence first, no alerts. That phrase, quiet diligence, felt like a language I'd always known but never spoken. While they restructured me out, I built something else. Not revenge, not justice. An exit on my terms. I gathered records, emails, financial transfers, QuickBooks backups, the unacknowledged loans I'd made to keep Harper Industrial alive. Spreadsheets, PDFs, bank confirmations, a paper trail they thought I'd forgotten. I hadn't. I printed them, labeled them, color-coded the years. It took days, working under the desk lamp, Seattle rain tapping the window. I wasn't angry. I was precise, balancing the books for myself. Rachel's team reviewed everything. We discussed structures, buyer profiles, how to do this cleanly, quietly, legally. I told no one, not friends, not my assistant. They'd condensed 17 years into a voicemail. I'd make that silence costly. We met in a corner booth at a Bellevue restaurant, across the lake from Seattle. No logos, no paperwork, just tea and talk. The man across from me was David Kessler, polite, understated, gray sweater, calm voice. His firm acquired minority stakes in family businesses during transition turbulence. I called it abandonment. Rachel had connected us, quietly, legally. My data spoke for me. Cash infusions, off-book payroll rescues, loan guarantees backed by my personal assets. David nodded, flipping through my binder, tabbed by year. You were the stopgap, he said. They leaned on you until they thought they didn't need to. His firm ran their own diligence. Board minutes, contracts, equipment leases. Most were public or accessible through my stake. They found discrepancies. An $800,000 loss from a failed Texas expansion Lucas had pushed, Catherine had championed, hidden in vague budgets. Duplicated. Payments to a non-existent marketing agency. I didn't press for answers. I didn't need to. Within 2 weeks, my 40% stake was sold to David's firm, valued fairly by a third-party assessor. No board vote was needed. The 2016 operating agreement had no right of first refusal. We signed in a small downtown office on a polished maple table. No family crests, no Harper quotes, just signatures, just silence. The funds cleared. Rachel drafted my exit memo. I didn't read it twice. I listened to the voicemail one last time. "You'll hear from our attorney." Their warning became my door. I forwarded it to my archive, sent a new email. Transfer complete. Direct communications through counsel. No regards. Just closure. I closed the Harper folder on my desktop and didn't save changes. The first call came at 6:12 a.m. I let it ring. By noon, there were 47. By the next morning, 72. Lucas tried every number, my cell, my office, Rachel's line. His voicemails grew frantic. On the third day, I answered, curious to hear panic in his voice. "Emma, you have to undo this," he gasped. "They're freezing everything. The investor, your buyer, they're requesting a forensic audit. They're finding discrepancies. They're going line by line." "That's standard due diligence, Lucas," I said, calm. He choked, half laugh, half sob. "They're going back years. The Texas reports, the vendor contracts, Mom's memos. They found gaps, Emma. Things that could look bad." "Or things that are bad?" I asked. He didn't answer. "You have to help us," he said. "Tell them it's fine, that we're clean." "I can't do that." "Why not?" "Because you said I was out. I'm not your stopgap anymore." I leaned back. "You wanted me to fight, so you could forgive me when I lost." He didn't deny it. That was the trap. Erase me. Let me rage or beg and keep control. I hadn't. I'd walked out and locked the door. "You could fix this," he said. "One call." "No," I said. "You fix it. You're the visionary now." I hung up. He called again. I didn't answer. Rachel called later. The audit had launched. My former title was flagged in filings, omitted in recent reports. Legal exposure was likely. I felt no joy, no anger, just stillness, like stepping out of a storm I'd stood in. For 17 years, Catherine emailed days later. One line, "Can we meet privately?" No lawyers. I didn't reply. I printed it, filed it, labeled it after. The collapse was quiet, a building falling in slow motion. Lucas stopped calling when the audit went public. Catherine emailed weekly, signing warmly, "Mom." William never reached out. I forwarded everything to Rachel. Her paralegal handled replies. I never saw them again. I expected grief. It didn't come. Instead, there was space. My jaw unclenched. My phone stayed quiet. Coffee stayed hot. Sunlight wasn't wasted. My calendar was mine. No crises, no fixes, just stillness. They didn't erase me because I was weak. They erased me because I made it work, and they couldn't control that. Being erased doesn't make you disappear. It makes you untouchable. A package arrived. On a Thursday, no return address, just my name in Catherine's handwriting. Inside was a photo frame from the Harper office lobby. In the picture, we stood before the warehouse. Lucas, William, Catherine, me. Smiling, like we'd built something together. I believed we had. But the frame was chipped, a crack running across my face. Not shattered, just worn, like time had rubbed me out. I didn't fix it. I didn't hang it. I placed it in a drawer, closed it without sound, and with it, the last door. No rage, no need for closure. They'd said, "You're out." I'd answered, "Understood." Sometimes the final word is what you don't say. Sometimes the truest picture of a family is the one they send back because they can't bear to look at it.